What is going on, good people? It is Friday night. You know what that means. It's 11:05 Eastern Standard Time. Rick Ucchino, SP3, the wrestling legend himself, Dutch Mantell. The gang is back together after I was in Dallas at the Hall of Fame induction and everything last weekend. Sid holding it down with Dutch Mantell. So I'm back. We are ready to roll. And thank God we got two good shows tonight to talk about. Typically, guys, we start off with SmackDown, but after what we just watched, Sid and I, we're going Tarantino on this mother trucker tonight. We are going to start with the end and work our way back to the beginning. Sid, you requested this time to talk about Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta, and my God, did Tony Khan, Bryan Danielson, William Regal, Jon Moxley, and everybody put Wheeler Yuta over in a major, major way tonight.
This man just got officially signed last week after ROH Supercard of Honor and him becoming the ROH Pure Champion. But this was his coming out party. This was the way to really stamp of approval that he is officially all elite. He was a Crimson Mass. The way this match started was just incredible. Jon Moxley coming out the crowd and then immediately tope suicida right to him, starting to fight, bringing the fight right to Moxley. And they've told a 3-match story of this whole journey where Moxley completely destroyed him the first time they faced each other. Then the second time he got a little bit closer. And then this match, just you saw the look in Moxley's face. He kicked out of not one paradigm shift, but he kicked out of the Death Rider version of the paradigm shift. And it took Moxley to basically choking him the F out as he bled profusely all over the ring. This was just riveting. It was so compelling to watch, and this was a true star-making performance for Wheeler Yuta, and honestly, one of the best Rampage matches they have ever put together. This was brilliant.
Yeah, they're really starting to ramp up the Rampages now. Like there was a point there, Dutch, where you even talked about it. It was just an hour's worth of wrestling. They were cramming a bunch of stuff in there. There was a couple minor stories here or there. We get these kind of matches tonight because Danielson and Trent Beretta was amazing, right? And
this was a good match.
This was taped on Wednesday, and everybody was talking about Yuta and Mox. Nobody was talking about Danielson and Trent Beretta. And when I'm watching that match, I'm like, well, how damn good was this main event? Main event was great. The opener was great. A lot of fun stuff in between as well. And then next week we get a Texas Death Match at 7 p.m. Hell yes, Dutch. Rampage is coming up in the world, baby.
It's an hour earlier next week.
Yeah, so Rampage is at 7. Yeah, Rampage is at 7. Okay. Leading into SmackDown, which means we'll be on at 10:05. I love you, Tony Khan, and I love the NBA. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Thank the NBA and Adam Silver.
I didn't get Moxley's match because I have trouble coming on this broadcast sometimes, so I'll leave a little early. But now I have to go. I taped it, so I'm gonna go back and watch it. So if it's as good as you guys said it is, I'll enjoy watching that. Now I'll agree with you, Rick. These two shows tonight, you didn't sit there and go, "Oh God, no." But SmackDown was good and Rampage was great. So this was a good night for wrestling, and you don't see that very often. But tonight was one of the nights they both were in sync, and they both were clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, the one thing I really loved about the main event tonight, going back to Yuta, is his mission really wasn't to go out there and win the match. It was all about earning the respect of the what is it, the Blackpool Battle Club? Is that what they're Combat Club?
Blackpool Combat Club.
I got to write that one down so I remember that. But anyway, he's going out there and he's doing Bryan Danielson's moves and he's stealing Jon Moxley's moves. And it's all about sending a message and trying to earn respect. I almost expected him to slap William Regal when William Regal put his hand out there, but they finally shook. And yeah, this was a great moment for Yuta. And I thought the best moment of the night was Jon Moxley staring at Yuta after and says, now the real work begins. Getting here is one thing, but now it's what you do afterwards. And this is going to be good. This is great for Wheeler Yuta as well.
But like you said, Rick, this was filmed on Wednesday. the same Wednesday that had one of the greatest Dynamite matches of all time with FTR versus the Young Bucks.
Yeah,
And
right.
people were telling you that we're in Boston. We're telling me that Wheeler Yuta and Jon Moxley was the best match they saw that night. So that says it all. That says to the quality of this match, how they had the crowd in there. The crowd had seen about 4 hours of wrestling before this match started, and you wouldn't have known that. They were hot as hell. They were invested into the story. Wheeler Yuta has kind of like completely turned everything on its head. He was a guy that was like the fourth best guy in a group of four people with the best friends, and now he's like the real crust of this whole Blackpool Combat Club story with William Regal, with Bryan Danielson, one of the greatest in-ring workers of all time, Jon Moxley, a former AEW world champion, William Regal, a legend, but everybody is talking about Wheeler Yuta coming out of this. That says it all. They have really created a very riveting story, and this matchup was just like the tip of the iceberg right now. But I agree with you. I love what Jon Moxley says. Now the real work starts. So he's earned their respect, but has he earned his spot in the Blackpool Combat Club? That's how you tell a story. Now that's the next chapter that has to be written.
Dutch,
he got a spot, he got a chance, and he cashed it in. And you don't get that many chances, because if he got it, he cashed it in, he's there. But like Jon Moxley says, this is where the work starts. And you're gonna have to do this week in and week out. But I'm sure he can do it. You just got to get motivated to go. And Moxley's an easy opponent to get motivated for, because if you're not on your game, you just beat the crap out of you. So I'm glad for him. I really am.
Yeah, and this is like when you get an all-star trio together like Regal and Moxley and Danielson, and you start, it's easy to talk about, oh, well, we can bring in a guy like Wheeler Yuta and, elevate him, and just by him being there, he's elevated. Or you can go to the nth degree and you can try and create a new star. And that is exactly what they have done in a very, very quick fashion with Wheeler Yuta. I know you missed the match, but the story is there. And they were hot for Yuta at the start of the match, and it just kept getting progressively better and better and bigger and bigger, to the point where Jon Moxley, one of the biggest stars in AEW, that crowd was actively rooting for him to lose that match. They wanted to see Wheeler Yuta win. And when he kicked out of the paradigm shift for the first time, my God, it had to have been 11 o'clock at night at that point, after watching 4 or 5 hours of wrestling, and the damn roof blew off the joint.
Well, they were invested in it. They wanted to see that match. So, and I don't think Tony Khan will mess this up, because I think the more he tinkers with it, the more it can get messed up. I would let Moxley and Wheeler handle this, most of it, because they put the work in. They did all the work, and the people popped on it, and so I'm proud for those guys.
And what we've been seeing with like certain interviews that have been done, I feel like this story has a lot of Bryan Danielson's fingerprints on it, because William Regal admitted on AEW Unrestricted that it was Danielson that called him to come to AEW. He told him about the story that he had with Jon Moxley, and that he's a big fan of Wheeler Yuta, because he said even when he got signed, he was talking about guys like Wheeler Yuta, like Lee Moriarty, like Daniel Garcia. These are the guys that he wants to work with. These are the guys that he wants to help. So he has his fingerprints all over this whole story. So I think that this is basically a vehicle to bring Wheeler Yuta into the Blackpool Combat Club and make him a star. But tonight was one of those star-making performances, like Dutch says, that he has to continue to do to really get every single crowd behind him, because Boston was a hot crowd from Dynamite. It was hot during the Danielson versus Trent match. It was even hot for Willow Nightingale on this show. Like, this was one of their best crowds in quite some time, and that says a lot, because all these AEW crowds, I seem to say the same thing every week. They're very loud, but Boston is actually one of their best towns that they go to.
Boston's always been a great town. I mean, from years ago, always a great town. So sometimes those towns have that chemistry, and they buy into it. So
what was the best? Because Sitting in on the Cody Rhodes media scrum this week, it was very interesting to hear him talk about like each city in Texas and talk about what kind of a crowd that they were. And it's amazing that he's like could just rattle off like half a dozen cities in Texas and tell you what kind of a crowd that they are traditionally. For you, Dutch, what was like the hottest crowd that you ever worked in front of?
The hottest crowd?
Yes.
Everywhere?
Yeah, out of anywhere. If you could pick like one spot, it was always hot, always great to perform in front of those fans. Which city would you pick?
Well, Puerto Rico for one, because they literally hated me. And I kind of hated them. But they were so easy. Because I was the first heel when I went down there. I was the first American heel who actively, verbally trashed that island. And told them, they don't speak English, they need to be deported and all this kind of stuff. And I don't drink that crappy coffee down there. And the men were effeminate and the women were like unpaid prostitutes, not basically. And I would go down the street and, they'd say, Suzuki Dutch. I thought it's because I'm such a great wrestler. But I found out that's because they really hated me. They really did. So, and it was so bad at times down there, I couldn't walk the streets. Kids would get on the corner and throw rocks at me. I'd have to go back to the hotel. Keep getting my brains beat out. But that was it. And Memphis was a hot crowd. Florida used to have those hot crowds. Miami, Orlando, Tampa, they were all hot crowds. The only crowd in Texas that I never saw hot was Jacksonville. And ironically, that's where Tony Khan and AEW are based out of. But Jacksonville, they just sit there and look at you. Tallahassee was another town.
Well,
they had no energy. And we didn't have any energy either after we drove up there. It's like 260 miles. And we get to like this, like, God, I'm tired.
Well, to be fair, Dutch, this is Jacksonville. They watch the Jaguars for fun, for crying out loud. So,
Well, that is true.
Yeah, that is very true. Going back to Steven's question here, SP3, you think they are going to build to Mox and Danielson getting the tag team belts? I think it's got to happen eventually, but they don't have to rush into this whatsoever, especially with as deep as the tag team division is.
Yeah, because I kind of want FTR after the week they had to claim those titles too and really put the stamp that they're the best tag team in the world. But I think that we're going to get new champions on Wednesday with Red Dragon beating Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. So I want them to have a little bit of a run so they don't have to rush into this at all. Like you said, like they have a story already being built with bringing Willow Yuta in. And we don't know if the recruitment process for the Blackpool Combat Club is just going to stop at Willow Yuta, because Lee Moriarty's out there. He got a lot of play during ROH Supercard of Honor. Maybe he'll get some more play in All Elite Wrestling on Dynamite and Rampage. Maybe he's the next recruit and the next guy that has to prove himself. He's never versed Moxley. He had a great match with Danielson before. Maybe he's the next one that has to prove himself to the Blackpool Combat Club. But they have a very compelling story without the titles being involved, so they don't need to rush anything.
I was watching Danielson tonight, and I'm kind of unaware because I don't watch Dynamite. I was kind of unaware of the story. But he was kind of a heel tonight, right? Is he already a heel, or is he just working his way there?
He was. So it's interesting because when they put this pairing together, Moxley was a babyface and Bryan Danielson was a heel at that point. So they're kind of like working their way into the middle, and I think they're just kind of like going by however the crowd reacts at this point. But it was a really interesting because when they put them together, it was Moxley and Danielson who were fighting one another, with Mox being the babyface and Bryan Danielson being the heel. And then all of a sudden, William Regal shows up, and everybody's like, "Oh hell yeah, let's go ahead and just hook this trio up together and let's have some damn fun." And that's just pretty much what they're doing at this point. But Danielson, coming out of the Hangman Adam Page feud, has just been all about just kicking people's asses. Like that's all he wants to do. He just wants to stove people's heads in. And I love what he's doing in his matches and winning in different ways. Tonight, attacking Trent Beretta's neck and not really kind of like locking in the label lock, but kind of just wrenching the neck sideways. Man is so good at what he does. And William Regal said, like, doing the little things. I love the little things he does. Couldn't have said it better myself.
But he didn't pin. Did he pin Beretta, or did he give up? Because of the neck injury.
I didn't see Beretta tap out, so I think maybe the ref just called for the bell, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was a good finish. because now, since I've learned that he's had the surgery on his neck, and he does so many things with that neck, making contact with that mat. And I know it's a work, but, still, if you've had surgery on your neck, it doesn't take much for that neck to go again. I actually feel kind of sorry for him and concerned about him when he takes like a back suplex and lands on his head. So I hope he's okay. That ring doesn't give that much anyway.
Yeah. But I like the fact that they made that a part of the story, especially when you listen to the commentary. The commentary kind of tells you that, like, they often ask, why does he do so much stuff that involves his neck? Like tonight, it was him running directly at Danielson, and then his head completely ate the steel steps, and then that started the real story of the matchup with Danielson attacking the net, and then that's how he basically lost. So I like that it's become one of his basically his kryptonite in all of his matches.
Through the years, I've known a bunch of wrestlers, and some of them I think literally had a death wish, because they'd go out and do this crazy stuff on shows, maybe 150 people there, 200 people there, and they go out and do this crazy stuff. Mick Foley had a death wish because all that crazy stuff he did. I think maybe Randy Savage, maybe. But some of these guys do some crazy stuff. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? But they do it because that's what got them there. Yeah. So no matter how big a crowd is, they still paid money to see it. And I heard an old timer tell me one time, he said, I don't care if there's 20,000 people there or 20 people there. They all bought a ticket to see this. So don't go out there and lay on your ass. Get up and give them. I mean, they're as deserving of the best show you could give those 20,000 people, even only 20 people bought the tickets. So don't blame them that nobody else showed up. Just go out there and give them a show, which made a lot of sense, really.
Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin are two other people that have death wishes, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Did you hear the story from Matt Hardy on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy podcast this week ahead of WrestleMania? I believe it was 33, where the Hardy Boys came back. Did you hear that story that they told John Alba? Because that was right before the night before they had that match with the Young Bucks. Matt Hardy got called by Triple H twice, somebody else, and then Vince McMahon. And they all asked Matt to make sure that Jeff didn't do anything stupid in the match with the Young Bucks.
He's told that story a few times.
Has he? Okay, because that's the first time that was the first time I heard it, and I laughed my ass off.
Yeah, I remember he did an interview right after they got signed, and they were talking about that, like how he got told to make sure Jeff doesn't do anything crazy, and he still did some crazy stuff. I was there live for that match, and that was the best match of WrestleMania 33 weekend for me, seeing the Young Bucks versus the Hardys in a ladder match.
Well, I don't know why he's not hurt more than he is now.
He's lucky
after the stuff he's done. He does me like the old saying, God protects fools and little kids. So I think he may fall into that first category, and I hope he doesn't get hurt. But I don't see how he can. I was watching Jeff Hardy, one of his later matches, and he dropped the leg off the rope, and he sat right in the guy's face. Bam. The guy rolled over and said, what the hell? He beat I don't know. I don't know if I would lay there and let Jeff Hardy jump on me. I would have eyes all over that ring and whoa, I'd be gone. He said, why'd you move? I said, well, you was going to hit me. I don't like to get hit.
Fair point. Fair point. There was a scary spot for me in this match. Maybe scary is a little bit strong, but I'm not sure what the heck happened with Bryan Danielson and Trent Barretta when they were like doing that suplex off the top rope. It looked like Barretta was trying to counter it into a bulldog.
Oh,
it was just a really awkward landing, and especially for Daniel Bryan landing there, that's what concerned me. I'm just like, oh,
because he landed on him.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bryan Danielson hit his head on the mat. Like, I didn't go back and rewatch it, but it looked like he hit his head on the mat square and flush. And given his head injury past, that will always make me cringe when he does that. But he's another one of these guys.
Let me ask the question,
Rick. What he does. Yeah.
I said, Who's the guy that was out there first in the ring? What's his name? He runs the UFC school or MMA school. What's his name?
Are you talking about Dan Lambert?
Lambert. What is his deal? He was with TNA, the same thing. And I think he came in and brought some of his talent. And he brought Covington with him. I met him, and he was there. But this Lambert I thought he was horrible then. Not much better now. But I guess he is kind of unlikable. But
he's gotten worse. He's gotten worse, Dutch.
You believe that? I think he has too.
Yeah,
I think he's unnecessary. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page can talk for themselves. They don't need Dan Lambert.
Ethan Page showed that tonight.
This is what it is. I think he has offered his talent for the show. I think that's what it is. You know, he's not a poor guy. He's got money. He's got big time money. So, but I wish him success. But I don't see him really getting over. The other two guys he's got, they're good talent. They can talk better than he can. A lot better.
And please, for the love of God, turn Sami Zayn and Ty Conti heel, because that crowd hated that crowd hated them as a duo. And then when you listen to their promo, that's not a babyface promo. That was a heel promo from them. So AEW, you know, Tony Khan, you're always saying that you listen to the fans. Listen to those fans in Boston, because they did not like them. And when Ethan Page said that they're a PR incident waiting to happen, they cheered him. They cheered all ego. And like you said, Rick, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky is very charismatic on his own. Ethan Page can talk better than most of the guys in the locker room. They don't need Dan Lambert. So this whole feud is it's very stale. I'm over it. I don't want to see it anymore. I don't want to see Sami and Ty presented as baby faces. They need to turn heel, and this will once again the Dan Lambert curse. He feuded with Chris Jericho. That man had to turn heel almost immediately after. He feuded with Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes. They're no longer with the company. Sami and Ty
He's cursed it.
They have one of two ways to go here.
Put the curse of death on them.
It's funny. I'm trying to pull this up, but my lights, you can't see it. I literally, one of the notes that I was going to bring up next is it's probably time for Sami and Ty to turn heel on this one. So I
thought they were heel, but this is what if they put Danielson and who's his partner, Moxley together and put Guerrero with them, that's heat magnets. You could feel the heat from them walking down the aisle. So if they put them together and let them go, and they don't need to change anything. And I'm glad that nobody writes their stuff, because now you know what they can do. So if they're doing fine on their own, let them go.
I got a question for you, Dutch. Has there been?
Oh God!
Outside of
no, I didn't.
Because you
I didn't do it.
No, you gave me the approval as a wrestling historian. So this is from my knowledge. I'm just going to ask you, has there been a successful babyface with a girlfriend outside of Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth in wrestling in the last 40 years?
Well, they were heels first.
Yeah.
They were all heels first.
True.
The first one that comes to mind is Adrian Street and Miss Linda.
Okay.
Because he was a heel, but then people kind of liked him. Even down south, he was, the feeling was, is he gay or is he not gay? Now he's got a woman with him, which throws him off. And when he turned babyface, they loved him and loved her. So, but I don't think any successful babyface, mostly they turn. And they turn not because sometimes the promoter or the booker wants them to turn. He just hears the vibe in the crowd. He said, "Hey, I got to switch you over."
Would you count Matt Hardy and Lita?
Not really.
I don't think
that wasn't never really Matt Hardy and Lita. It was the Hardys and
the
Lita.
Hardys. Yeah, I know. That's why I was asking.
Neither one of, and Matt Hardy was never a successful babyface on his own.
on his own.
He
wasn't successful. I'm talking about a single star babyface who was successful with his girlfriend by his side. I think it's really Macho Man Randy Savage. When you think about the major promotions, it's Macho Man Randy Savage, and he started off as a heel, a very overprotective heel boyfriend for Miss Elizabeth, and became babyface over time. Like, it doesn't work when Sami was like this. When you think about where he was at Beach Break when he defeated Cody for the TNT Championship, and their decision to place Ty Conti with them, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Someone saying Edge and Lita, no, Edge was a heel.
Edge and Lita were a heel.
Yeah, they were heels.
Big time heels.
Seth and Becky, that didn't work. That actually was one of the reasons why people started turning on Seth.
And here's the other thing. Exactly. They didn't even have to put Becky and Seth on TV together. The second that relationship went public, Seth was getting shit for that. Because there are just jealous fanboys out there. They hate that. Absolutely hate it. Roland Curtis, thank you for the super chat. If you guys want to get some super chats in there as well. But yeah, he says Mark Merrow and Sable were baby.
The key word I said, Roland, was successful. Mark Merrow cannot be described as that. He cannot be described as that.
The closest you can come to that is semi-successful. And that's just because they kept putting him on TV. I don't think he sold one ticket. He was just on the card. But he did well for the time he was there.
Does John Cena and Nikki Bella count?
No, Cena was already a top babyface even before they got together. Like, I'm talking about a guy that's on the rise, that is getting popularity, and then you place him with the girlfriend. That's not successful. Yeah. No, the Intercontinental Championship, especially at that time, that's not successful either, Rollin. No, it's not. He never became very successful because Sable got more over than Mark Merrill. So
she did. That's a very fair point. She absolutely did. Yeah. That's a great question. I'd actually have to sit here and think about that. I might actually research that because I'm genuinely curious about that.
Okay, that girl with that kid, that's his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Well, she's a heat magnet. She did some of those moves that those girls do, and and you just want to kill her. You just want to go up there and you want to go up and slap her like Will Smith slapped The Rock on the Oscars.
Oh, he didn't slap The Rock. He slapped Chris Rock. Big difference.
Chris Rock.
About 150 pounds difference, actually.
Do you think that was a work?
No, I don't.
I think it started out as it. But I don't know why they do it.
Well, Chris Rock's going to get a lot more business out of it. That's for sure. I don't know what Will Smith is getting out of it. I mean, he got
a 10-year ban from the Oscars today.
Yeah.
That's what
so he can just not watch it on TV like the rest of us. Anyway, so
pretty much. I saw a good one in the chat, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. But once again, Johnny Gargano was already a top babyface in NXT before they even placed Candice LeRae with them. So no, Killer Cross was a heel. No, I'm talking about babyface. Babyface.
There you
the
go.
Keywords are successful.
There you go.
The
Right
people,
there, baby. Right
the people
there.
You're bringing up right now.
The key answer right there. Mark Henry and Mae Young, which their son made a fantastic debut at WrestleMania.
That was good. Very good.
Oh gosh. All right, let's focus in on the arguably the biggest moment of the night here, SP3. They are continuing to build to the dream matchup. Your boy versus my boy. We had Danhausen eating chips in a trash can tonight, and these little segments are like nothing. They're like 20 seconds long every week, but they're some of the best stuff on television. They're absolutely hilarious. I can't wait for this match to actually happen. This is going to be great. I don't know if Danhausen has been cleared yet from his broken leg, but God, I hope this match happens soon.
I'm enjoying them, their interplay with each other. I'm enjoying Hook still being so charismatic without saying a damn word. It's great. It's just great stuff. And then Danhausen, best line of the night was him saying, "I'm gonna eat these chips because that's where his power comes from." I started dying laughing. That popped me so much.
The fact that he's just sitting there in a trash can eating somebody else's chips. You wouldn't think that would work. but it worked. And here's the other thing, Dutch. Hook doesn't have to do a damn thing. He didn't do anything tonight, and it just worked.
What he does, he knows how to wrestle.
Yes.
And you can tell by watching him, he knows how to wrestle. He just doesn't have anything to say. So if they keep going along with this guy, if he ever does speak, the place with the roof will come off. So, and they're building it well.
You saw that in NXT with
Loomis or Lupus.
Dexter Loomis, yeah.
Yeah.
The first time he spoke, literally said, I do.
I do.
The place lost their shit. He said 2 words, and those are the only 2 words that he's ever said. Sid, I saw somebody put this out on Twitter. I think you're the perfect person to ask as the card-carrying president of the Hookers fan club. Well, what will Hook's first words be?
I've been sent.
I've been what?
I've been sent.
The catchphrase on social media, Dutch, is send Hook. So he's going to say, I've been sent.
That'd be good.
Josh says hi to me in Dutch, but not to you, Sid.
No, you don't like Sid?
It's okay.
Josh.
Sid's a likable guy.
I've stumped everybody with asking what successful babyface is.
I did see somebody say CM Punk and AJ Lee, but AJ Lee was with like 20 different people, so it's like in character.
But no, they were literally associated on camera for like 3 weeks before AJ moved on to someone new. So that doesn't count either. And
she bounced between like Ziggler and Cena and Punk and like she was with people I forgot she was even with at this point. Anyway, just before the women's revolution. That's just what they did. Swerve had a good match.
While we're talking about AEW, I don't want to jump gears here.
Yeah.
But did you hear Cody's interview on Raw?
Yes.
Did you like it?
I did.
Did you like it, Sid?
I did, for what it was.
Oh, y'all looking at me?
Did you like it? Did you like it?
I think he tried to put too much in it. I did, and I think he wanted a reaction that wasn't organic, and he really wasn't getting that. I mean, it was okay for what it was, but he wanted everybody to feel sorry for him. And Dusty, that really wasn't Dusty. The people that know him, he didn't give a crap if anybody felt sorry for him or not. But I think Cody wanted to make it more personal, and I don't think he really got that out of it. It was an okay interview. It introduced him well. So
and that's what I really focused on, is because I was curious about how they were going to present him, and the fact that he's coming out there saying, "Look, I'm here for one damn reason, and that's to win the WWE Championship, because nobody in my family's ever done that. My dad wasn't able to do it, and I want to do this for him, myself, and my entire family." That tells me everything I need to know about what the initial plans anyway are for Cody Rhodes coming into this, which is what I wanted to see. Now it's going to be, how do we get there? I think the main event of SummerSlam absolutely needs to be Roman Reigns defending his championship or ships, depending on what they're going to do with those things, against Cody Rhodes. And I think Cody Rhodes needs to win that match. That's just my personal right now anyway.
This is my thoughts. I think that's too soon. But if anybody thinks that Vince McMahon is going to have Roman Reigns lose to Cody Rhodes after they went this 2.5 years building him, I think is deluded thinking. I don't think he would. Well, but he's done crazy things before, but I don't think that does Roman anything. It just basically kills him off. I think
at that
Cody
point,
Rhodes,
it wouldn't be about anything with Roman at that point, because he would have been on a two-year run as champ at that point at SummerSlam. It'd be about making Cody at that point, wouldn't it?
Well, I think Cody's I hope he does great. But I think he's only going to go so far. Because they'll see that. I think the fans, after you see him a couple of times, it's Cody. They had 5 or 6 years of him when he first got there, or maybe more. And he did a few things, but nothing really chart-topping or anything. So I think Roman Reigns, since he's beat everybody and pinned Brock Lesnar, to have Cody do it, I think they said, "What the hell?" I don't even know if that. I don't even know if that helps. I don't even think it helps Cody to win. Who's he going to go against? He'd have to go right back against Roman for Roman to beat him. So I don't know. That's just my thought. What do you think? Oh, you don't care. Oh,
no,
why'd you ask me?
I think it makes perfect sense for Cody Rhodes. I honestly think he has to
win
be
his SummerSlam.
I don't know who the hell else is going to beat Roman Reigns at this point.
I don't either. I don't think Vince has it either.
There's two other choices. Yeah, I could kind of understand where Dutch is coming from.
Butch could do it.
No.
Butch could beat him.
Not Scrappy Doo. No.
Nobody named Butch is winning a WWE championship.
I can see them using the Roman Reigns 2-year title reign to build a new star. So someone like a Braun Breaker, for instance, or Gable Stevenson, an Olympic gold medalist, coming in and having.
Who's the new guy they just signed?
What do you mean?
The Olympian.
Yeah, that's Gable Stevenson.
That's Gable? Okay.
Gable Stevenson. He's an Olympic gold medalist. So I could see them giving him like the Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar rookie push, and him being the guy that they make with this Roman Reigns title run. So I can understand where Dutch is coming from. Dutch has already established before Cody officially signed here that he doesn't view him as big of a star as his father or his brother. So I can understand Cody coming in is not that big of a deal to him. And he thinks that this 2-year title run should be making someone completely new, because at the end of the day, Cody made his name and became a star outside of WWE. And it's very unlike WWE to have someone that has become a star outside of their company instantly come in and win the title. The only example that we have of that in the past decade is AJ Styles. So
Correct. But again, I mean, I don't know. Here's the other thing. I wouldn't put it past them to keep the title on Reigns all the way to Mania next year if they can guarantee they could get The Rock in there. But then I'm not saying The Rock is going to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So are we going to have him carry it all over? I don't know when this thing ends. If it's not to Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, I just don't know when it actually goes down. Yeah.
Let's be fair here. I can see Cody winning the Money in the Bank, being the honorable babyface, and catch it in, saying, Roman, I'm going to verse you at SummerSlam to cash in my title, and then beating Roman at SummerSlam to become the undisputed Universal Champion, and then losing it to Roman the very next pay-per-view, because that's what WWE does with the Money in the Bank winners anyway. They never give these Money in the Bank winners very great title runs or established
and that's my biggest
runs.
fear, and that's the only reason why I wouldn't do it at SummerSlam. Is because what happens after SummerSlam? We get a couple of pay-per-views, and then it's Survivor Series time, and then that's what killed Big E's WWE title reigns, because they have to do this Raw vs. SmackDown BS, which they'll probably do this year, which means Cody's not going to be defending the title November, December, and then all of a sudden it's going to be day one, and he's going to be completely cooled off at that point, because all the champions are cooled off at that point. And then Vince is going to go, well, it's Mania season. Cody's not really hot anymore. Put the title back on Roman and start building up the Roman versus Brock. That's my only fear with giving Cody the title at SummerSlam. A couple of matches here before we talk about Roman Reigns, because he did lay out his plans, not for him so much, but for the rest of the bloodline, which was very, very interesting. Sid closing out on Rampage tonight. I thought Swerve had another good match tonight against QT Marshall, setting up a big tag match next week. And then if Tony Khan hasn't put up the graphic to sign Willow Nightingale yet, I don't know what he's waiting for.
That crowd loved Willow, and she showed on ROH Supercard of Honor and here that she has a lot of potential. She's just so likable, and that's very hard to get in a professional wrestler, especially when we just spent a couple of minutes talking about Sammy Guevara, who's a babyface in this company and doesn't have a lot of likable traits. And Willow Nightingale is like the antithesis of Sammy Guevara. She is very likable. She has a smile that brights up the room. She has a great comeback and great set of moves that really got the crowd behind her and made Red Velvet, who's usually a babyface, a heel in this instant, for winning the matchup. I thought that this was a pretty good matchup. I liked Swerve. Swerve is just like the smoothest guy in the ring, and I like what they're doing with this whole feud with Swerve and Keith Lee versus Team Taz. They established a feud on Rampage, and now they're giving them a spotlight matchup on Dynamite. So this was, like Dutch said at the beginning, this was one of the best Rampage shows in a while.
So what is the girl's name? Willow
Nightingale.
She was great. I actually thought they let the wrong person win. It's what I thought. I think Red Velvet should have done the job for her because she looked more impressive, and they did some really good stuff. Yeah, again, a great show all the way through, and I don't ever say that.
You sure as hell don't. I understand why Red Velvet won because heading into the match, she was under contract and Willow wasn't. So that's why it makes sense that they booked it the way they did. I would have called an audible, though. Off of that reaction, how she was performing, I would have made the decision. And I'm not one to tell Tony what to do with his money, but I would have made the decision to sign her mid-match and say, put her over. Let's go. And
if I was Tony, I would run down there with a contract right then on camera and say, hey, come here. Sign. Okay, now go in there and beat her. Okay, that's what people say. What the hell did Tony Khan do? The fuck?
And meantime, Willow's agent is going, you signed a contract without reading it? What the are you doing? Hang on. Oh, by the way, one last thing about AEW here. Tony Khan really didn't have to do this. He did not have to get me anything for my birthday next week, but God damn, Dynamite Card, Suzuki and Samoa Joe. Tony, it's too much. Take it back. You didn't have to do that for me.
He was like, you guys thought I was going to be complacent after FTR and the Young Bucks last week. I already got Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon on the show. I already got the Jericho Appreciation Society versus Kingston, Santana and Ortiz. I'm going to give you Team Taz versus Swerve and Keith Lee and Minoro Suzuki versus Samoa Joe. This is legit one of my dream matches for Samoa Joe. When he got released from WWE, this was immediately one of the matches that I said I wanted to see. I was like, I want Samoa Joe to go around the world and verse all the people that I always wanted on the verse. I want to see him versus Tomohiro Ishii. I want to see him versus Okada. I want to see him versus Bryan Danielson again, Kenny Omega, and I wanted to see him versus Minoru Suzuki. I think that Samoa Joe is going to become the TV champion on Wednesday, and this is going to be an absolute banger of a matchup.
Well, if you compare AEW, they got 5 times the depth that WWE does. Because even though you don't know some of these people, Tony Khan has been very selective on who he puts on TV, and he doesn't. Very seldom does he put people on back-to-back TVs, right?
I mean, last time we saw CM Punk?
This is my fear.
Last Dynamite, last Wednesday.
And this is my fear about Tony Khan. He's booking Dynamite. He's booking Rampage, and now he's going to book the Ring of Honor show. Well, he's doing a good job now, but I don't know about the Ring of Honor show. Sometimes that burnout can set in. And once it sets in, it's hard to get out of it.
He definitely
I hope not.
He definitely does seem to have plans for people. Like, just when I start thinking like he's completely forgot about people on his roster, all of a sudden we got a storyline for Jay Lethal. All of a sudden Tony Nese comes out tonight, and now he might be going up with Smart Mark Sterling. So it seems like he's got plans for people, but he knows he's limited on TV time. So he's like, all right, well, I can spread this out a little bit. All right, I can run this program out, and then once that's done, then we can move in with this. He does a very good job of kind of just playing snake and just keeping everything kind of spread out and keeping it fresh and keeping things interesting and putting new talent on TV and then going back to people after that's over. So he's been doing a really, really good job so far. There is absolutely no doubt about that. All right, so let's dive into SmackDown tonight. Gentlemen, we'll start once again at the end because I thought this was very interesting. Roman Reigns cut his promo on Monday saying, hey, tune in to Friday because I'm going to tell you what's next for me. And then he didn't say what was next for him at all because he basically says he's done it all at this point.
He lied.
But he says the bloodline ain't done, and he is sending the Usos. I thought he was talking about the Intercontinental and the United States Championships at first. I'm like, okay, now you have my attention. I'd like to see Jey Uso compete for an Intercontinental title. Why not? Let's move into that. But no, he's sending them to Raw to unify the tag team titles. This is something I have been pushing for a while. SP3, I don't think it makes sense to have 2 sets of men's tag team titles and 1 set of women's titles, but your reaction to the possibility that they could be unifying the tag team titles.
I'm okay with it because WWE doesn't care about tag team wrestling, so it's
Sure
better
don't.
off. It's better off being unified. I don't want unified women's titles because that's less opportunity for the women that they have, and they have a vast amount of women, but they don't really have a vast amount of tag teams. They got the Street Profits, they got Alpha Academy, they got the Usos, they got RK Bro. That's pretty much it now because Rick Booz is injured. Viking Raiders lost in like a minute to Omos. Like,
You got
what
New
other
Day.
tag?
Did you say New Day?
Los Lotharios. Yeah, New Day's there. But I mean, New Day lost in 2 minutes at WrestleMania, so they're just there to be a name basically, and they never have won at WrestleMania, despite the records being clean now because wins and losses actually matter, I guess now. You got Sheamus and Ridge Holland, but that's on shaky ground as we saw tonight with Butch. So yeah, they break up tag teams like they break a sweat.
That thing with Butch tonight didn't really make sense unless they're gonna keep him just fighting him all the time. And that's a decent story because you can drag that out. But for them to turn little Butch on his own doesn't make any sense. But I do like that guy.
Oh,
he can beat the crap out of somebody and make it look good. I think he's really beating their asses.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to focus on with Butch is bell to bell. At least for the first time that we saw him, he was still Pete Dunne. All right, like that, bell to bell, he's still Pete Dunne. So that's what I'm going to choose to focus on with him. Roland Curtis back with another one to throw at you here. SP3 with a super chat. We do appreciate the super chats. If you want to guarantee to get your comments in, you can throw them up here. But he says Tess and Steph were over with the fans, and they were, and then they completely buried Test after Stephanie and Triple H's relationship kind of took off.
I love Roland Curtis. I appreciate these attempts, and we always appreciate your super chat donations. But if you type this out and really believe that Test is a successful babyface, then I know you did a lot of drugs tonight. And it's okay.
Yeah, Roland, you need to put that pipe down, buddy.
It's okay because those drugs is leading you to bring more super chats and more attempts to give me a successful babyface that had their girlfriend next to them. That was a good storyline that did get Test over as a babyface, but I wouldn't describe Test as a successful babyface
because the second it was over, he disappeared. He
didn't technically disappear. He just really right down the card when Triple H showed up at a wedding ceremony in Las Vegas.
Yeah, was that before or after his run with Albert? That was before.
That was before.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, he had some success, but I mean, the most successful part of TNA was Trish Stratus. So. Again, if we're saying the word successful in there, and again, people have different varying definitions of the word successful as well. So, but we do appreciate the super chats. Keep them coming in. If you want to guarantee to get your comment in, send us a super chat. We really, really appreciate those as well. Dutch, your thoughts on possibility of unifying the tag team titles to go with Roman Reigns' unified Universal WWE Championship title belts there?
I don't feel any chemistry off of it, but I felt chemistry with Brock and Roman, but they worked on it for 2 years.
Yeah.
The tag teams, they just let languish there for all this time. And Vince, traditionally, he doesn't really like tag team wrestling. He never has liked it. Years ago, I heard the same thing. Oh, he'll do it, but he doesn't really like it. And I don't think he has a lot of big plans for it. So if they do center both sets of belts around the Usos, that's okay. But it is something that might lead to something else if you just start that. See, the worst angle never shot is the one you don't do. You do something. And then if it works, it works. If it don't, then they got 52 weeks of the year to change it.
Sid, I did think it was a little weird that heading into WrestleMania, they started having RK Bro and the Usos wrestle each other. Well, now this makes sense if they're kind of setting up something between these two teams now. I still wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have just straight up had, those two guys wrestle, especially since, that's supposed to be Survivor Series gimmick is the one night only that we get Raw and SmackDown superstars battling it out with one another. But
I have an idea.
Yes.
We're talking about the empty bench, so to speak. Or they have no bench. A guy that I think they may have one big run with again against Roman Reigns would be Randy. Don't you think?
When in doubt, trot him out.
Well, but
he go to that well for sure.
I think he could give you an interview that would he'd walk the people in. And I think it would be a hell of a match. And the people, I think he's got enough respect for him that they seriously believe that he could beat Roman. And that's something we hadn't even thought of. Even though he's in a tag team now, you could take him, just have him show up. I think he makes a lot more sense than Cody taking the belt, because he's had that belt before, right? How many times has he been champion?
Randy, 14 times.
Well, see, he's got it. I think the people respect him, and I think he can still perform at a level that he needs to perform at. And I'm saying that because I watched WrestleMania. I watched the Brock Lesnar and his match with Roman, and it just ended.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just. I mean, they worked hard, but it was just a flat ending. It really was. So
I'll say this much about Orton. He is arguably more over now than he ever has been at any point in his career. And he's having the time of his life. He's really connecting with the audience at a higher level than he ever has in his career. So
that's what they should do.
Putting Randy up against Roman Reigns as a program, yeah, I'm with it. Would I have Randy Orton be the guy that beats Roman Reigns? I don't necessarily think I would, because again, they have an opportunity to make somebody. I would rather Riddle be the guy that beat Roman Reigns than Randy Orton, to be completely honest with you. Riddle's another guy who's massively over. That makes more sense to me than Randy Orton does at this point. But that's, again, I'm focused on making.
I'm not saying to beat him. I'm saying just to go against him.
Oh, that's fine. Yes.
And then you can go, whatever happens there, then you got Riddle in the background.
Yep.
He could go right to him. And while you're getting somebody else ready. Now, we've been saying that for how long? Almost 2 years. They got time to get them ready. Well, how much time does it take? But you got a guy sitting there, Randy Orton, that's massively over. And he can control that crowd like nobody's business.
Their hands. Yep.
Yeah, and he's got them. And he'll go out there, and I think they would have great matches, because they could layer it up enough that they wouldn't have to take no super duper crazy bumps, because Roman doesn't really do that anyway.
Right. And you could get that started by having, Roman help get the tag belts off of RK Bro, and that could be the catalyst for that. By the way, thank you for the super chat, Ozzy. I'm not acknowledging anything.
Thank you, Ozzy. Thank you for acknowledging your tribal chief, your trivia champion, SP3. And to double down on what Dutch has said, Dutch shows why he is one of the best minds and been in wrestling, why he's done amazing booking for places like Impact Wrestlings and places around the world, because he came up with a better idea than WWE did, trying out Shinsuke Nakamura, someone that I love. I've loved him since he was in New Japan. But you can't tell me Shinsuke Nakamura is the best idea they had for a challenger for Roman Reigns coming out of WrestleMania when he just lost to Jimmy and Jay at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Was that a crappy finish or what?
That didn't make any sense. I was just like, at least get him a win before he comes out and you present him as the possible first challenger. Like, what?
But if you wanted a big reaction, if you'd have had an Orton walk out there, the people would have went nuts. Now you said, oh my God, I didn't even think about him, because they've led the people in another direction. So
putting my Vince hat on here, SP3.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I can connect the dots to get Shinsuke Nakamura out there, because he's talking about the Bloodline and having them accomplish. And yes, the Bloodline took out Rick Boogs at WrestleMania. Not really, because that was, an injury that he
took
had
out himself.
I understand that SP3, but still, he got hurt in a match with Bloodline. Shinsuke Nakamura's pissed off.
Sid, he yelled at you. I heard him. Stop it.
I get it. I understand what actually happened, but you can bend it to a way that Shinsuke Nakamura could wind up out there because he was feuding with the Usos. Would he be my choice to face Roman Reigns right out of the gate here? No, but I'm happy he's getting this opportunity. I'll say that much, because this is something that they should have done a while ago when he got screwed out of his rightful number one contender spot. That was a year ago now at this point?
Can I say something?
That was before last year's WrestleMania. They should have done this. Yes, Dutch.
Okay, when I saw both of them in the ring, Nakamura and Roman, no chemistry. None.
What are you talking about? There was a nice hug there. There was a nice moment there.
Still, they no chemistry.
They didn't do anything. They didn't let Nakamura do anything.
They know he walks to the ring, and what's he going to do? Is he going to go in there to hug him? Didn't he beat the crap out of him?
Roman hugged him, which confused the hell out of him, which it would confuse the hell out of me too. And then he got blindsided super kick.
I think all you'd have to do, if you had Orton walk out there and says, "Watch your back," or "I'm on my way," or whatever, and end it.
Yeah, but until there's a reason for Randy to be out there, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He wants to go for the title again. He tells the whole story about being there.
No, I would have.
Now I'm gonna tell you, Rick.
I would have had
if I got to come up to
out.
Cincinnati and just backhand you, I will. I'll be up there about 7:00 in the morning. But when you walk out,
I'm gonna be busy at 7:00 in the morning.
I'll just backhand the hell out of you.
Why don't we reschedule for about 3:15 in the afternoon? That's better for me. What were you saying?
Well, it'd be an easier trip if it was later today too. So.
I would have had RK Bro come out after he called them. He basically called them out by saying he was going after the Raw tag team titles. And then it would have done what I would have done to end this show is whoever's the challenger or whoever's going to be the next person, they need to get one up on the Bloodline to present them as a threat to them. So it could have been very simple. You have RK Bro come out, they're cutting their little promo, and then RKO out of nowhere on Roman. And before the Usos can get to them, Riddle and Orton are out of there. And they made a statement. Orton lays out Roman Reigns. You set up the tag team match, but at the same time, you're showing that Orton can catch Roman with the RKO out of nowhere. So
I think it'd been a great ending because you'd had people talking about that. I don't think they're talking about Nakamura because that has nothing to do with Roman, really, does it? It has to do with the Uso boys.
Well, but that was the focus of Roman's promo. He's like, look, there's nothing left for me.
I don't care what the focus was. I'm saying take the focus and put it on Orton. Because if you want people to start talking, you got to do something. I don't think nobody's talking about the Usos and Nakamura. I just don't. Do you, Sid?
No, I don't.
Now, Sid's a historian. He might not be too much on the chemistry part, but he is the historian. So.
I just felt like I said after the show, I was like, Roman closed both shows in the most lackluster ways possible. Like, this was a little bit more, this overall show was much better than the Raw after WrestleMania. This felt more like a Raw after WrestleMania than Raw was, but this ending was the same kind of lacklusterness, except that Roman didn't tell us to watch Raw on Monday. At least he didn't tell us that. So at least there was something that hinted at who's his next challenger.
Something we can all agree on is the reason why this felt most like a Raw after Mania that everybody was expecting on Monday is tonight actually had the debuts. Tonight actually had the surprises. And this is something that Sid and I talked about on the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast. Everybody's expecting all these major returns and surprises on Raw. They didn't need them. Raw's roster is set. They already got Cody. They probably are going to have Braun Breaker in some capacity, even though he just won the NXT Championship back. But they're deep over there. There's not a lot of holes on that roster. There's holes in the creative department, but there's not a lot of holes in the talent department. SmackDown is the roster, Dutch, that needed reinforcements, and tonight they got them.
Well, I liked SmackDown because it did introduce different characters. Who was that Lacey Evans interview?
Yeah.
Was very, very good.
Spectacular.
Because a lot of people can identify with that. Like, she's one of us. She's had hard times. And the people will like her. Now, who was the other girl? The Hernandez girl or Fernandez, or what was her name?
It is now Raquel Rodriguez. It was Raquel Gonzalez, which now we know why her and Dakota Kai dropped the NXT tag team titles 3 days after winning them at Stand and Deliver on Saturday, is because Vince picked up a phone and called Shawn Michaels or Triple H or said, hey, Big Mommy Cool, yeah, I want her. So y'all need to figure out how to get the belts off of them. And that's what happened. And I don't know why they necessarily needed to do the name change, but as far as name changes are concerned, they could have done a lot worse to her. That's for sure.
This was the best name change that they've done in months.
And her name was Gonzalez.
Yeah.
But I understand the reason why, because Gonzalez is her actual last name. Okay, so WWE wants to own the name, so they got to make it something else. And Raquel Rodriguez is the least offensive name change that they've done in
Chris,
well
he just
over
told
a year.
You don't yell at us. He just told you why. Don't yell at us, Chris.
Well over a year. Yeah, it's not our fault. They want to own the name. They want to own the name, Christopher. That's the reason why.
Christopher.
So that's why they had to change.
Watch it, Christopher. Rick will yell at you.
Gonzalez to Rodriguez. Sorry.
I'll tell you what, her presentation was great tonight because they took 6-foot Raquel Gonzalez and they put her up next to 4'11" Kayla Braxton. And it was like
she looked
Patrick standing next to Omos. Like, that's what it looked like tonight.
She looked like she was 6'5". I thought she was at least 6'3".
She had to be wearing heels. She had to,
because
Los Lotharios are only like an inch shorter than she is, and she was towering over them.
Now, they got some big girls in WWE now. You know, if they got the Evans girl and this Rodriguez girl and Ripley.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's some big girls. So...
And they're all talented. They're all really, really talented. And I think Lacey Evans and Raquel Gonzalez Rodriguez are going to be great additions to the women's division. I don't think this bodes well for women like Aaliyah and Xia Li and Shotzi Blackheart, who we have not seen in weeks at this point.
I haven't heard those names in years.
Well, Aaliyah, she's greener than grass, even though she's been warehoused for 7 years. She doesn't know. You can tell she's timid. She doesn't know where to go, what to do, and she stutter steps. And maybe she just didn't catch it. Maybe she just didn't learn it, or maybe she's nervous. But it's the wrong time to be nervous right now when you're up with the A team.
Yeah, I do like Xia. I like Shotzi. For whatever reason, they can't get on TV right now. And when you bring in somebody like Raquel Rodriguez, that's going to take some time to get used to, obviously. And then you're bringing Lacey. Lacey Evans is somebody who was prominently featured on television every week with Ric Flair. This is somebody who's going to get TV time now here on SmackDown. But Dutch, like you said, I loved her promo tonight. I love the presentation. I am all for bringing out the real people and putting their stories out on television. Her actual life.
That was a real story because you can tell by listening to her.
Yes.
She didn't make that up.
No, that. I'm sure maybe there was some amped up, maybe, I don't know, but give me people telling the real story, because her actual life story is better than anything WWE could come up with, and it's damn sure something that I'm going to connect with and root for more than any of this sassy Southern Belle stuff or her banging Ric Flair. Like, they tried to do this shit at one point where they tried to make her the badass Marine, and that lasted all of 4 weeks before they turned her heel over a singing competition, for crying out loud. You just remembered that, didn't you?
I remember they tried to make her a babyface, but it wasn't even about her being a badass Marine. It was about her being a mother. If you
Oh yeah,
remember
yeah,
that whole
yeah. You're
feud
right.
with Bailey, like this is the first time that they told the story, and this is something that people like me that have been watching Lacey Evans since NXT, I've been wanting this because I knew the story when she first came into NXT that she was a Marine, that she's been through so much, through her life from upbringing to being in the Marines to being a mother. She's a very three-dimensional character that they made one-dimensional for a very long time. This is a vast improvement from the sassy Southern Belle. I like this presentation, and this was one of the highlights of the whole entire night for me.
When I first saw this, Tell Your Story, Ron Fuller did it in Knoxville years ago, and I forgot what he called it, but guys went on there and told their story. So the people, when they hear the story, and he said, make it a shoot, because people are going to ask you. And that got over with people because you're talking about the same stuff that they're familiar with. And it got over. I forgot, and Les Thatcher did it, produced it, did a great job. Because that was way, way ahead of its time. So, but it worked.
Yeah, and I think, when you get these talents and they go out and they do, interviews with people like Sid or people like myself, and they actually tell like their real life story and let people into who they are as people, and they really start connecting. Like they start doing that more and more and more. These superstars are everywhere now doing media, and that's why it's hard for people to boo somebody like a Becky Lynch, because they know how great of a person she is, and they know, and they connect with her. She's inspired them in some way. So people are going to connect with the actual human beings themselves more often than not, which is why I think this Lacey thing has a huge chance to work. And I'm interested to see what the next chapter is going to be next week. And I'm very excited to see her back on television.
They said they were going to do 2 more installments. Is that what they said?
Yes.
I'm wanting to hear it. I'm wanting to hear that more than I want to see a match, just to see what she says.
I'm with it. Sid, let me ask you, what did you think of Ludwig Kaiser tonight?
I like that guy.
You do? You do like him?
I liked him.
I liked him too when his name was Marcel Barthel. I like, and that name is not even that great, but it's a vast improvement from Ludwig Weisse. Oh man,
what's his name now?
That's his, Ludwig
Kaiser is his name now. It was Marcel Barthel.
Marcel Barthel.
And he did have a tag team partner, Fabian Eichner, who, from whatever reason, they did not bring along with him. There were 3 members of Imperium. Now there are 2 members of Imperium. But I liked the presentation of Gunther. I did. I love the red jacket. I love sending him out there to beat the crap out of Joe Alonzo, who I hope got paid handsomely for his squash match tonight, because he earned that paycheck by taking that whooping from Gunther.
Well, my friend of mine was sitting with me tonight. They says, "What they put him in there was just a guy that he's going to beat." I said, "To get him over," and he got over. Because the people's been there with somebody else, you're going to beat up on that's on the roster. Then you hurt one member of the roster. So sacrifice somebody they don't know, and he got sacrificed, and he did a good job at it too.
Yeah.
I agreed with everything both of y'all said, except for the red jacket. I don't want Gunther and Marcel Barthel coming out in Nazi apparel because they were dressed like the Nazi flag. So, yeah, I don't know if this was I don't know if this was the best improvement. I don't know if Gunther, who is from Austria, should be billed as from Germany. There was a lot of stuff that I would have changed about the presentation, but the match itself, I definitely 100% agree with you. That was the best presentation of Gunther, where Gunther was still Walter in the ring. Those chops are like gunshots every single time, and especially
when he kicked him one time, I thought he kicked his head off.
Yeah, I was gonna say he sat in there and took it, man. There was no feigning. Joe did his job tonight, which, like I said,
he did.
I hope he got paid really, really well for it. Yeah.
What's his manager's name?
Oh, Gunther's?
Yeah. Who was that
Ludwig
guy?
Kaiser. That's
Kaiser. Okay.
Yeah, that's Kaiser. Yeah. So it's Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther. And yes, now that you brought that up, that
was he Walter before?
Yeah, that was
Gunther
Walter.
was Walter. Yes.
Okay.
Gunther was Walter, and then Ludwig went by another name as well. But again, it adds to the bench. Hopefully, Ludwig will wrestle as well. But it clearly seems like they're building Gunther up to be a huge single star here on SmackDown. He's a guy that we didn't bring up as a possibility to take on Roman Reigns and beat him for the Universal Championship.
Well,
ain't happening.
We brought up Orton first because he's established.
Right.
We're talking about going right now. Give Ludwig, give him 6 months, and you move him into the spot.
He's better off. He's gonna be maybe a future Intercontinental Champion. I could see him being the guy that dethrones Ricochet, but I don't see him being the guy that's gonna dethrone Roman Reigns. I'm sorry to say that, but
okay. So you don't see him dethroning Roman Reigns? Is that what you said?
No,
I'm agreeing.
I don't see it.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Rick. Didn't you say that Cody Rhodes should beat Reigns for the title?
Yes, I did.
See? So do you agree with that?
I do, because I think that Cody Rhodes has a compelling babyface story to complete this, and they can say we made Cody a bigger star than what he was in AEW because he never won the AEW World Championship. So I could see them doing that. The number one thing I wanted to say about this Gunther match, though, Pat McAfee was hilarious on commentary.
Yes,
he was hilarious all night, as well as in the Xavier Woods versus Butch match as well. But his line about Will Smith bombs to the chest for Gunther's chops was chef's kiss.
I loved that one, but for some reason, when he said he's stacking them up like pancakes at the IHOP, when he dropped that line, that's when I lost my shit. Like, I don't know why that line hit me at the time. I think it was just the inflection that he put on it, but just the way that guy talks, man, he is so damn good at everything that he does. But seriously, something that we had talked about for weeks now, leading up to every time we were on SmackDown, I was like, man, they've cut this roster too thin. The bench is empty. There's a lot of things that we can nitpick, and we have, but the additions of just from a talent standpoint of Ludwig, Gunther, Butch, and Raquel Rodriguez now, and adding in Lacey Evans. I mean, that there's a lot of additional talent that they've added on SmackDown, and they could add some more, and it's getting better. The talent depth is
they
getting
needed
better.
this added talent too, because I think I thought last week's SmackDown was pretty good, because even though it was a maintenance show, but tonight was, I think, better than last week.
Last week's show was basically, Sid, I'll let you answer this one here in a second. Last week's show was basically the pre-show for WrestleMania Saturday, because we didn't have any matches on the WrestleMania pre-show, even though it was 2 hours long, which I thought was something that was really, really weird. Ronald Curtis here, SP3, throwing out one more for you here. The Undertaker and Sarah, your response, sir.
He's just trolling me now, ladies and gentlemen. Rollin, you're not funny. No, you are funny, because I know you're trolling me now, because Sarah made Undertaker. People started hating him when they placed Sarah with him. Like, they ruined Diamond Dallas Page. This was during the biker gimmick for the Undertaker, where he was significantly less popular than he was as the Dead Man, but he was already an established star. He had already won the WWF Championship like twice. He was one of the biggest stars in the company when they placed Sarah with him. But you're just trolling me. Stop it.
Yeah, stop that crap.
Keep them coming. We appreciate you. Steven says, where will LA Knight, Tommaso Ciampa, and Io Shirai go? I think LA Knight's going to SmackDown. I think Ciampa's going to Raw, and I think Io is staying right there on NXT where she has been.
And Io's the one that needs to get called up the most, but I do agree with you. I think that Ciampa is going to Raw to be in the grand jury with Edge and Damian Priest and probably Rhea Ripley in the future. I could see LA Knight on SmackDown, maybe as a manager.
Stop it.
Sorry.
Well, tonight was the new season starts, right?
Yes.
Raw started, SmackDown started.
Correct.
So this is the new season.
Yes, according to Xavier Woods, everything resets. Yes.
Well, it does.
Including the fact, Yeah, sorry. But including the fact that Xavier Woods is no longer King Woods. What?
Why is he no longer King
fuck?
Woods?
I don't know. Baron Corbin had that damn crown for 2 years, and they didn't take it off of him. Xavier Woods comes back from an injury after, 3 months? He was out 3 months? And he comes back, and people were excited for him to be king of the ring. That's what he's wanted his entire life. People were happy that he was king. They give him this awesome-ass crown that looks like Bowser's crown from Super Mario Brothers. They give him a banger theme, and then he comes back from injury, and it's just, nope, sorry, we're done with this.
See,
Xavier Woods now.
That's what they do.
Zelina is still queen on Raw. What the hell are they doing?
That's what they do.
God dang
but
it,
I do
man.
think tonight they put a little more thought into this show.
Yeah, they do.
And they exposed more people. So I think they kind of got their crap together this week.
Much love to my favorite people on YouTube. I acknowledge you, SP3. DJ, I hate you for making me read that sentence, but we do appreciate.
And I love you too, Dutch, but Rick can go to what?
Oh, what the?
No.
Quit
Son of a. No.
Well, shout out to DJ Eric. He had surgery this week. He's recovering. I hope you have a speedy recovery, good brother. He's one of our great supporters over on True Hill Heat, patreon.com/True Hill Heat. He's one of our Patreon backers. So shout out to DJ Eric. I love you.
Well, I won't go that far, DJ. I don't love you, but I kind of like you, I guess.
I hope
I don't know you.
DJ. I hope you're doing well. Sid, I'll say this much. If they brought LA Knight up and he's going to manage anybody, have him be the mouthpiece for Ronda Rousey. Why the hell not?
I was literally going to suggest that.
I was thinking that same thing. Ronda Rousey needs a lot of help. A lot of help.
Here's the thing that irked me, right? And this is something that we've talked about. She got screwed at WrestleMania. Why are they having her come out there smiling ear to ear?
I've always thought that. Why she's supposed to be a tough ass. Why would your attitude change from the start gate to the ring, and all of a sudden she's kick-ass Ronda Rousey when she smiled all the way down the ramp?
If I lost my second match ever in that fashion on the biggest stage of them all, I've now lost back-to-back matches at WrestleMania. I am going to be pissed off. I came back after 4 months after having a baby, won the Royal Rumble, earned my opportunity at the main event. I'm talking as if I'm Ronda Rousey.
Oh, okay.
I earned my opportunity as the main event at WrestleMania, and then I get screwed out that way. I am raising hell. I am torching the arena down, metaphorically speaking, not literally. I am torching the arena down when I get there to open up SmackDown. I ain't coming out there smiling. I'm not. It didn't make any sense to have her coming out there grinning ear to ear and then cutting this another lackadaisical promo and saying, hey, I challenge Charlotte to an I Quit match. And the I Quit match will be good if and when it actually happens. I guess we'll find out officially tomorrow. Adam Pearce says the higher-ups will tell you tomorrow. So I guess that's their way of saying tune into our social media.
This is one of the things I hate. The higher-ups will tell you tomorrow, but all of a sudden they can make a match within 20 seconds on the show. Just get in the ring. Let's go. Who makes that decision?
Adam Pearce doesn't have the authority to make a match of that magnitude. He can't
not that, but I'm saying
in an I Quit match.
They had a tag team match and somebody jumped in and somebody else joined. Then it turned into a 6-man and nobody sanctioned it. They just did it.
I think this has everything to do, SP3, with Charlotte's clout. She's one of the crown jewels in WWE. So obviously Adam Pearce has to go to the higher ups before he can just put her in an I Quit match.
Man, this was just it was not a good opening segment. I agree with you guys. Ronda should not be smiling, even though she's a baby face. I understand she's a baby face. She needed to have that I smell dookie face that she had later on in the night when she first came out, because she got screwed at WrestleMania. Come out with that I smell dookie face and that mean Ronda face. Like, that's what we needed at the beginning, not later on.
I agree. So
that should be good, though. That should be good. Give her LA Knight and let her take off. I know everybody says Heyman, but Heyman's busy with Roman right now.
I say Malcolm Bivens. Give me Malcolm Bivens.
That would be good too.
They're gonna probably bring Roddy to the main roster. Ivy now doesn't really need him right now. She's actually pretty good when she is able to talk. The Creed brothers don't need him right now because they're going babyface. So Malcolm Bivens on the main roster with Ronda Rousey. Give him a raise. Have him talk for Ronda. Perfect.
All good.
Call it a day.
Here is something I never thought I would say. Dutch, this crowd was cheering your boy Madcap Moss tonight. He's over tonight.
He's over.
WWE pulled a miracle out of their ass. They had somebody in short shorts, no shirt, and a stupid ass hat getting cheered tonight.
It's the way he puts over his corny jokes. People love that. And I kind of like him. I mean, he's about as far as he's going to go, but at least he's kind of over.
I wanted him to chuck the suspenders so bad. Like, he stomped on the stupid hat. He chucked that. I wanted him to rip those stupid suspenders off and throw them into the crowd. That's what I was really cheering for him to do. But people just
maybe him and Butch can have a suspenders match.
Well, Vince doesn't like two people having the same thing. So he's like, well, crap, Butch has got the suspenders now, so we got to take him off of Madcap Moss. Maybe that's it. But I can't believe this actually worked. Like, people love to hate Baron Corbin so much that it got Madcap Moss over. And yeah, he's got an opportunity now.
Yeah, they telegraphed it well. That you knew it was going to happen. And when it happens, and you like it. So now you just got to carry through with it.
Sid,
remember, you always hated Corbin. I liked him when he was poor. I don't like him now. Right, Sid?
Yeah, we love bum ass Baron Corbin, and we got a little bit of bum ass at the start here. He was upset over what happened at WrestleMania, and then Madcap Moss. I will say, when WWE wants to foreshadow stuff or build to an actual breakup, it works, and this worked tonight. They actually built to this breakup with Corbin being meaner to Madcap every single week, not finding his jokes funny, and you heard the crowd even before the turn happened. They were cheering for Madcap Moss. We had a Madcap Moss chant. Yeah. I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that just 2 months ago, that we would have a Madcap Moss chant. But it tells you that Corbin is very much over as a heel, and that Madcap Moss has been very good in the ring. He's gotten the people on his side. They wanted to see him do the turn here. And his joke about Corbin was actually kind of funny, with him saying that he looks like he's going to a funeral for Tommy Bahama. So that was actually a rare funny joke from Madcap Moss.
That would be the best face turn of all time, is if Madcap Moss actually started telling funny jokes. Like, now that's a lot of pressure, right? Because you actually have to get somebody who can write funny jokes. And then he has to nail the delivery. It's easy to say bad jokes and get them wrong, all right? But so I don't know if I would be brave enough to attempt that. But you could tell they had big things for Madcap Moss when they had him win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It usually means nothing. But I think they actually did that to kind of set.
Well, it could still mean nothing.
In the long run, sure.
I mean, let's don't get on that wagon too soon.
No,
I think it go around the corner, we just fall off.
This is a great first start. And they'll see if they can build on this now, right? So that's it. Rollin with another one here. He says tonight the what chant would have crushed Ronda. I mean, the what chant crushes a lot of people. To be completely honest with you. I mean, there was a point where the what chant ate Roman Reigns' lunch anytime he cut a promo, and then, now he rolls with it. I hate the what chant.
But I would say this, for everything that we said wrong about Ronda Rousey, it kind of, everything that the crowd has been reacting to her kind of stands by my original point that Ronda Rousey would have never had the fans turn on her if she never would have feuded with Becky Lynch in the first place back in 2018, because although Ronda Rousey has not been very good on the mic, and she hasn't set the world on fire in the ring either, the fans are still reacting to her like a babyface. They chanted Ronda when she came out. They're still behind her. So it really is, it just depends on who she's going against. If they put her against a babyface again, then the crowd will go against her. But the fact she's going against Charlotte Flair, the crowd is still behind her for some reason.
How much did she talk before? Not that much.
She had, you can tell that she was working with Paul Heyman a lot on her promos originally, because it was like a lot of the kind of like punchline one-liners that she had in like feuds against like the Bellas or even against Becky and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on now. It feels more like WWE writers are writing her and she's not comfortable with it.
Well, because it looks like she gets totally lost. Because when she pauses, she's trying to remember the promo.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the biggest complaint you get from a lot of people is it sounds like she doesn't want to be there, and obviously she wants to be there, because if she didn't, she wouldn't be there. But yeah, there's just a certain like.
Well, some people cannot talk in front of crowds. She may talk okay in the dressing room because the pressure is off. When that pressure is on and that camera's on and that mic's right there, I don't think she handles that well.
I mean, she seems comfortable when she's doing her live streams. Maybe just
that's different too.
That's a whole different ballgame. Can't see the audience. I understand that.
She's
no different
relaxed.
than what we're doing right now. Obviously, can't see the folks, but we appreciate everybody who's sticking with us here for now 90 minutes. One other thing worthy of talking about here. I know somebody bringing up Jinder Mahal for Intercontinental Champion. I'm happy they're going to do something with him, but I think he's probably losing to Ricochet next week. Ricochet did say he wasn't going to be on the show tonight. He took time off this weekend, so that's why I'm not lighting up the chat about the Intercontinental Champion not being on television this week. They set up this tag team match on Monday, Sid, between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Sasha Banks and Naomi should be, and I wrote about this for Cage Side Seats today, should be two foundational pillars to build a tag team division off of. But it definitely looks like they are building towards Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan splitting after this Monday. But, man, I was a bit surprised by this result tonight with Liv Morgan versus Sasha Banks. I shouldn't have been, because death, taxes, and WWE's women's tag team champions losing. Like that. Case in point, a women's tag team champion in WWE has not won a match since January 3rd. Sasha Banks is continuing that losing streak that was left behind by Queen Zelina and Carmella. So I should have known that Liv Morgan was going to win this one. But for me, this win for Liv adds just a little bit of intrigue on Monday.
I mean, to be fair, Sasha and Naomi were winning all their matches before WrestleMania. They picked up the win at WrestleMania. They won on Raw in a championship contenders match. And it's very rare that the champion wins a championship contenders match. So this loss right here was to set up some doubt going into Monday. And I like the way they did it. They protected Sasha. Sasha performed the superplex, and then she just got caught by Liv Morgan, who held on to her, cradled her up for the 1-2-3. It wasn't a big major loss. So I like the way they did this. Those two ladies had a very good matchup that really surprised me and exceeded my expectations. They worked very well with each other. So it made me anticipate this tag team match a lot more than I did coming into this show.
Well, I like the match. Hey, what happened to, what's her name? Vega? What's her name?
Queen Zelina. Yes.
What happened to her? She's on Raw?
Yeah, she's on Raw. She was one half of the women's tag team champions until WrestleMania, when her and Carmella lost, and then they split up on Raw. So we now have 3 tag teams left in the women's tag team division, and it looks like Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley are heading towards a split, but who knows? They may choose to keep them together and put both of them with Edge and Damian Priest, which is what I said in my article on Cage Side Seats, that's exactly what they should do. Because if anybody deserves some creative footing and long-term creative booking, it's Liv Morgan. She's had so many different changes of direction. Just give her some solid footing for just a little bit, for the love of God. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. But the writing was on the wall with Rhea not writing on the wall with Rhea not being there tonight. I don't know. It's definitely intriguing about what they're going to do, but I don't think there's a prayer in hell that Rhea and Liv win this match on Monday. Dutch, any final comments, concerns? I think we covered everything. My notes are all over hell now, but I think we got it all.
No, I think we got it all. I think we all demonstrated that we're all idiots in our own separate ways, and
Oh, sure.
so people can take that as what it's worth, and we'll just move along. But I did enjoy the show, and how often do we say we enjoyed both shows? We've never said that, have we?
In a while. All three of us? No, yeah, I don't think that's happened.
It's
No.
very rare. Last week, Dutch enjoyed SmackDown, didn't enjoy Rampage. I enjoyed Rampage. I didn't enjoy SmackDown. But this week, I enjoyed both shows. Like I said, I thought SmackDown was a vast improvement from Monday Night Raw, and this was one of the best Rampage episodes in quite some time.
Ronald Curtis, one last one asking a question for us. We talked about Roman ad nauseum and all the different options, but we didn't say who we would want to see him face next. So if you guys, well, Dutch did, Randy Orton.
I did, Randy Orton. I think
it's sense.
You don't even need to build time for that.
Sid, if you had to pick somebody to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania Backlash, who would it be?
Drew McIntyre.
I agree.
Drew McIntyre they should have gave us the Drew McIntyre Sami Zayn match tonight. Have Drew McIntyre just win, pin him with the Claymore, and then he should have came out to interrupt Roman Reigns and finally step up to the undisputed Universal Champion.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're leaning towards Nakamura and Reigns, which again, in a bubble, I don't hate, even if it necessarily doesn't make a ton of sense, especially the way the Nakamura has been booked. I would have gone with McIntyre as well, but judging off of what they did tonight, I think McIntyre and Sami Zayn are going to be working with one another for a couple more weeks and maybe even have a match at WrestleMania Backlash. As far as Bianca, look, there's a lot of options. I think Becky Lynch will still be her opponent at WrestleMania Backlash, but I'll just say Alexa Bliss just to get her back on television.
But talking about Bianca, she's on Raw, correct?
Yes, she is now the Raw Women's Champion, yes.
Who are the new girls on Raw? Did they have new ones like they did on SmackDown?
No, they didn't have anybody new.
Okay. Well, I'm saying if she was on SmackDown, she's already got two new opponents right now with Lacey Evans and that Rodriguez girl. And I don't know what Raw has, but
the issue with Bianca now is like Bianca has already beaten everybody on the roster on the way to Becky Lynch. So she defeated Becky Lynch. So now it's like, okay, well, who has she not faced? Well, Alexa Bliss would be one. You could bring back Asuka. That would be a good option if she's healthy as well. Bayley would be intriguing, but she's already beaten Bayley in the past as well. So there's not a lot of options for Bianca right now either. So that's why I'm saying get Alexa Bliss back on television, but she's getting married soon. So maybe she's not going to be available for some time still. So I think that's why they're going to go back to the well. I think that's why they're going to do Becky Lynch and her at WrestleMania Backlash. It just makes sense from a booking standpoint. Becky's going to want a rematch, and she's going to get a rematch. We do appreciate you guys. Thank you, Ronald, and everybody else who threw in all of those super chats here tonight. Really good show tonight. Really good energy. I love it when they actually put like good stuff on there. You know, I don't have to scream and yell. I think I only screamed and yelled like one time tonight.
You take it too seriously.
I do. I'm very passionate, Dutch, but that's what makes me good at what I do.
Just relax. Nothing you can do about it. Just knock it. But then nothing to knock. There's a few things we can knock, but
always
not many. Not many.
I got my tweezers right here, always ready to nitpick. Sid, you got your show tomorrow. What's going on?
Yes, check us out 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. We got special guest Andrew Thompson of Post Wrestling. If you like to hear me be more vocal and not do the ASMR voice, check out True Heel Heat 170 tomorrow at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time when my kids aren't asleep.
Very, very good. Dutch, what you got going on?
I'm going to go to the bar and get drunk, I think.
Good option. Always good option.
Email me at Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. And I have a few more things. I'm going to make an appearance in St. Louis on May the 14th. It's the Bruiser Brody tribute show.
Oh,
and I will be there. How far are you from St. Louis?
About 5 hours or so.
Damn, that's a long way. But anyway, I think that's May 14th, I think. Now I'll be there, and I may be a few more places. I'll let you know.
Guys, if you're not subscribed to the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast YouTube channel yet, please hop on there. You get 4 debate shows every week between myself and Sid. It's a good time. Our next one's going to be dropping 7 a.m. on Monday. Again, by the way, that's spelled BLEAV. And by the way, still some really, really great stuff up there for my trip to Dallas, including conversations with Rhea Ripley, Los Lotharios, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles. Yes, I finally got to talk to Becky Lynch. That is up there as well. And you can watch the entire Cody Rhodes media scrum up there. Again, if you missed out on that, the guy gives really thought out, honest, as far as I know, answers. He's great. I can't wait to get to talk to him one-on-one at some point. All of that is up there right now on the Believe in Pro Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for the support. Also, go ahead and click thumbs up on this video as much as possible. Subscribe to everywhere you can find Sportskeeda Wrestling. We'll be back next week, early next week. Early. Thank you, NBA. 10:05. Dutch loves that. He'll get to go to bed before midnight next week.
Great.
They need to make the move permanent. Screw the people on the West Coast. I don't care that it's 4 o'clock.